welcome everyone to the Moneycontrol live stream. You're watching the opening bell and I'm your host Nickey Mirchandani. Well, a historic moment coming in for Indian. India has created history as it becomes the first country to land on the south pole of lunar surface. India conquers the moon out there. Chandrayaan-3 lands successfully, and with this the country is now joined the elite space club. But back to the mundane, where Indian equities are set for a flat start ahead of RBI policy minutes. Gift Nifty signals a flat to positive start coming in for the last read. US stocks rise ahead of Jackson Hole conference. Investors continue to weigh soft economic data and its effect on central banks' probable approach to interest rates hike. Let's talk about Asian stocks right now to track Wall Street rally as Treasury yields retreat. FIIs, they have bought shares to an extent of 614 odd crore, and DIIs too have purchased equity to an extent of 125 odd crore. The amount remains to be minuscule as per the provisional data on August 23rd. In terms of FNOQs, FIIs have been net buyers in index futures to an extent of 505 odd crores. Selects, they have been sellers in index options along with being buyers in stock futures overall, have also bought in bank Nifty futures. So overall, the trend seems to be picking up for the space when it comes to the FII activity. In terms of the stocks that are still in the ban, BHEL, Delta Corp, Escorts, India Bull Housing Finance, India Cement, GNFC, Hindustan Copper, PNB and Manappuram are some of them. New in the ban, Sun TV. What comes out of the ban is Z Limited sale. In terms of the PCR ratio, 1.05 versus 0.92. But let's discuss some stocks and strategies with Chandan Taparia, Senior Vice President, Heads Derivative and Technical Research at Motilal Oswal. Chandan, quickly, levels for Bank Nifty and Nifty before we address the markets open. Chandan?
Good morning. Thanks for having me. So what a historical moment for India. We created the history. Now talking about the market first, 19,420, 19,350 could act as a major support to drive this momentum towards 19,650. Bank Nifty now support will be at 44.
19,650 is where the support is coming. Chandan, we'll be coming back to you in just a minute after addressing the markets open. 19,500 mark, well above that level. More than 0.3%. It is a positive start coming in for Indian equity too after the historic moment, with the Indian economy where it's hitting now the moon. But let's look at the equity markets. We're seeing gains to an extent of 0.4% out there. Bank Nifty, just to see where that index is heading. Seeing gains almost to the similar quantum to that of Nifty 50 index. In terms of other mid-cap and the small-cap performers out there, 0.75% of gain coming in even for the mid-cap index, and for small-cap index, the trend holds no different. Outperformance coming in to an extent of 0.75% out there. In terms of other sectoral indices that we have that are doing well in trade, IT is holding up with gains of 0.5% out there. And if you talk about the other sectoral indices, pharma index is doing well, so defensive pack essentially is holding up right now, along with FMCG basket too, gaining as much as 0.3% out there. In terms of other sectoral indices, something like rate sensitives, realty, auto and metal also at this point of time is up and above with gains of more than 1%. Auto in high speed with gains of around 0.5% out there, and realty index too shining with gains of 0.5% out there. Let's address the top gainers and the top losers that we have on the list just to see where the momentum is stacking up right now. Adani Enterprises, Adani Ports, L&T. These are some of the top gainers that we have on the list, along with Wipro, Bajaj Finserv and Hindalco. These are some of the top gainers that we have on the list. Let's also see the top losers right now on the list. We have NTPC, Eicher Motors, Cipla right now on the top losers. As the top losers, these are so market breadth right now is clearly favoring the advances. Right now, the updates 48 advances versus 2 declines. Essentially, market breadth is more poised towards advances, as we could just see. Adani ports have clearly made it to the list, but we're going to go back to Chandan and check with him the stocks and the strategies that need to be in focus before addressing stocks and news.
Yeah, so if you look at the stock specific, I'll focus on selective defense theme. We are positive on most of the defense name. However, the gap up opening was seen and then momentum is clearly visible. So we like most of the defense stock, whether the FNO, non-FNO, including HL, BL, Paras Defense, BDL, MTAR take. So I'll look at the HL for recommendation as a buy with support of 4,000 to extend the rally towards 40 to 50 level. We have positive on counter like Hoodco in non-FNO space. We are liking the stock from last couple of days. Even we recommended few days back also. So looking for a next leg of rally, one can buy with support of 73. Stock can head towards 82 kind of levels. Then capital goods stock will be in focus, including L&T. So defense, capital goods, selective banking financial name could be in focus for the day.
Sure. These are clearly the stocks that have made it or have contributed to Chandrayaan mission's success out there. L&T being one, of course, Mishra Dhatu Nigam being the second one, of course, BHEL and MTAR Technologies, along with that of Godrej Aerospace and along with HAL, like Chandan suggested. These are some of the names that are expected to remain in focus. But stocks and news, RIL is expected to be in focus out there. A couple of updates coming in for RIL where, you know, the equities have been bought in. In terms of the buyer, where Qatar Investment Authority has invested approximately $1 billion in Reliance Retail Ventures, which is a subsidiary of the company, has picked up a stake of close to 1%, and the investment values the company at a pre-money equity value of $100 billion. So that's one. Coforge, where a block deal is expected to take place. Do keep an eye out on this one. Promoter has may sell in its entire stake via block deal, and this is going to be at the floor price of around 4,550 per share, indicating a discount of nearly 7% as compared to the previous close price. So that's one. In terms of the promoter shareholding and the sell-off pattern, is quite evident for the past couple of months. So this particularly deal, you know, as and when it happens or the block is off, you probably would see the overhang done past. You know, we off that overhang for the stock. In terms of other themes that we'd like to talk about, that Chandan, of course, was discussing, was the defense, along with names that are expected to do well. Chandan, apart from these, anything else that we can be looking at? It's RBI policy minutes meet also. So something like financials, according to you, are expected to do well in trade?
Yeah, so as of now, we talked about selective capital goods, defense name. So when you talk about the BFSI or financial name, then I'll be positive on Axis Bank. After a long time now, recovery is visible in all these names. So Axis Bank will be on my radar with support of 968. It can head towards 1,022 kind of level. Axis Bank is other candidate where we are expecting 2-3% run up. Right now trading near to 974, buy near to 970 with support of 952. It can head to 1,010 kind of level. If you are looking for non-FNO counter in banks, then I'll focus on Maharashtra Bank, trading near to 40 with support of 38. It can go to 44 kind of level. So I think these are the couple of names which could be in focus to drive the momentum, cheer the bullish sentiment of the market.
HAL, BHEL, which are the stocks, MTAR, Mishra Dhatu Nigam, out of these four, which one looks more attractive given the charts?
So given the chart, actually I recommended on HL, so I'll focus on that. In fact, we like the trade setup. We are tracking it closely. Longs are being built. Even on the last day, it added open interest by around 10%. Consolidation breakout is happening after 46 long trading session. So we'll focus on HL with support of 4,000, looking for 4,200 plus kind of rally in the stock.
Sure. In terms of mid-cap index too, it's been at a record high, probably suggesting of the internal strength that we have overall. But within that space, apart from the themes that you mentioned, anything that the viewers can take away from?
Yeah, so viewer can look at the news and business. I can talk about Paytm, Zomato, Policy Bazaar. So I'll pick for Paytm. A good price action is visible. buy near to 910 with support of 888, look for 950, 955 kind of level.
All right, that's the word coming in. In terms of Adani group of companies, how do you look at it? Adani Ports, Adani Enterprises, these are some of the top gainers that we have on the list right now. And also talk about your views on RIL and the AGM, which is going to be coming ahead. So we've also seen some investments coming in for RIL, AGM, which is going to be addressed anytime soon, somewhere down the end of August out there. But your assessment on the two group companies?
So I'll avoid talking about Adani group of companies because volatility is clearly visible. You must have seen 5 days back it witnessed recovery, and last day most of these stock corrected. So huge volatility is there. It's very tough to trade. So that is the reason from last couple of days we are not talking much about the stocks. So let them get the stability. When you talk about Reliance, some sort of consolidation is clearly visible. I don't see major momentum as the chart is concerned. Got stuck in a range. On downside, it is finding support near to 2500. Hurdle is placed at 2580. So I think we have to play the range between 2500 to 2580 in Reliance Industries.
How about Jio Financial Services? A bit of lower circuit. The stock wasn't really out of the index after 3 days as it was mandated because of the amount of price band and the volatility that the stock witnessed right after the listing. Do you think it's an attractive proposition for the retail investors out there? Probably a trading punt, one could say.
See, I can't comment on trading fund because the stock listed just 4 days back, and after that, every day it is hitting to the lower circuit. From 262 to we have seen correction till 213. So I don't have price history, and without that, it's very tough for me to comment. However, those who are looking and are in-house, those who are taking the fundamental, they are looking, let the stability and clarity happen. So as of now, no comment. But yes, Reliance consolidating can use the declines to buy.
Right, Chandan, we're just going to leave it at that. Thank you so much for taking out the time and speaking to us this morning. All right, let's address the fundamental side of the story. A couple of things need to be addressed out there. RBI policy meet, along with that, themes that you need to be in focus with the success, the historic moment that India has seen. But to join us to take the conversation forward, we're being joined by Amnish Aggarwal, Head of Research, Prabhudas Lilladher. Morning out there.
Morning.
All right, the themes that you think could be in focus with the Chandrayaan mission success, you think something like an MTAR, HAL, BHEL could be the stocks that continue to be on the watch list or should be on your watch list? How are the valuations stacking up? What's your overall view or assessment on these counters?
You see, Chandrayaan is going to, you can say this moon mission has been a big positive. However, I think the stocks of the names which you mentioned, they have already factored in the possible gains, because it is not that it is going to be something which is very recurring. Once this mission is complete, maybe India will undertake more missions. And when they undertake more missions, some business will come to these companies. But at the same time, it doesn't mean that it is something which is very recurring and is going to move the needle significantly for these companies. So these companies need to be evaluated purely based on their fundamentals and not based just that some of these companies might have provided some, you can say, inputs, raw materials, components, and other stuff for the mission.
Sure. Also, your views coming in on something like a Max Financial Services. It's been one of the top performer insurance stock, rallying almost 48% over the last 5 months. Perhaps due to the inclusion in MSCI Standard Index in June this year. What do you make out of it? How do you find the space overall and your preferred bets within the space?
You see, insurance has got low penetration in India. So the long-term story in insurance is pretty much intact. And there is a likelihood that insurance companies, as we go along, they will continue to grow and they will continue to, you can say, private insurers will gain share. And the space overall looks good to us. But having said that, I think there are 2-3 players which have been good. For example, HDFC Life is there, Max is there. Then you are having SBI Life is there. And however, none of these stocks is cheap in comparison to where you can see the global insurers have been trading. However, given the fact that India is still significantly under insured country, in the long term, the stocks will give returns. But Max, I would say it is more to do with increasing, you can say, involvement of you can say, access in the company. But otherwise, I would say from here on, the big part of the return in the near term might have already come. For here on, incrementally, the returns will come at a more tepid pace.
Amnish, how do you look at the overall IT space? Coforge, for that matter, promoter has been steadily selling off equities within that Coforge, the company. IT sector already has seen slew of downgrades which have come in. Do you think worst is behind now, and this could probably be the theme that investors should be looking more seriously into?
You see, IT sector over the last year or so has suffered because of two things. One being the kind of margins which people had started factoring in, forming a base of say 2021 and 22 when there were no overheads. So the margins were highly inflated and they were any which ways they were going to come down. The second reason was that people had started giving too much of a P multiple to the sector. The third factor which contributed incrementally was that post the Russia-Ukraine war, in addition to it, there was a fear of big slowdown happening in the developed countries, particularly US and Europe, which are big market for Indian IT services companies. Now, having said that, has there been, I would say, first of all, the margin contraction which was to happen from high base, I think we might be towards the fag end of that. As far as growth is concerned, the kind of slowdown people are expecting in US and Europe. In Europe, yes, some slowdown is there, but US economy, it is not growing the way it used to be, but it has not slowed down the way it was expected to be earlier. Now, if the interest rates in US, they don't increase incrementally and the economy does a soft landing, then maybe another 3 to 6 months, we will see that the overall order inflow and all will start improving for the IT services companies. But having said that, I would say that the large part of the correction in the IT services stocks may be over. So they might be forming the base over here. However, for any meaningful appreciation from here on, it will be only gradual and come only over a period of time. Because their P multiples are still not very cheap than what they used to trade at pre-COVID. So the space overall, if someone wants to invest from the 2 to 3 years viewpoint, looks interesting and it should give reasonable returns from here on.
All right. So anything within the space that you like, probably the mid-cap bets that you would prefer over large caps? How would you put it in the pecking order?
You see, the large caps have been, you can say, having an advantage that whether it is TCS, Infi, or even now company like LTI, Mindtree. So they are placed in all the, you can say, verticals, and whichever vertical or the segment grows, so they are able to gain from it. But purely from the, you can say, the other stocks standpoint, I think another stock which we like is the L&T Technologies, because ER&D space has been doing well. It is one of the leaders over here, and the space is likely to see increased activity now with even the Tata Technologies IPO, you can say, coming in. And so L&T Technologies, I think, is another stock in addition to the, you can say, the frontliners, which we would like.
All right. A very broad question out there, direction of the markets and the immense surge that we've seen in the demat accounts by retail investor, the losses that retail category has incurred in the last couple of years due to the F&O participation, which has almost surged by 500% from FY19 to FY24. What do you make out of it? Does that worry you at all? I mean, given how FIIs have started participating in this year, DIIs have this confidence, overt confidence out there in the market. Does that worry you at all?
You see, the main thing is that the FIIs had sold considerable amount of shares in the last couple of years. So much so that if you compare the FI holding now with 3 years back, then the holding is down by nearly 3 to 4%. And if they have to come back to the earlier holding, then the amount of inflows which are required from FI side, they are going to be humongous. And in this year so far, we have seen FI inflows of nearly around $16 to $17 billion. Now, when it comes to, so the FI inflows in the near term, they are likely to sustain. However, given the fact that the valuations are not cheap and there are several headwinds around, for example, the El Nino has started playing out. The monsoons in the last 3-4 weeks, they have not been good, and now we are already at 6% below normal range, and the dispersion is also good, not good. The inflation is rising. Food inflation is now above 7.4%. And the way the sowing of pulses, oilseeds, and some of the other agri, you can say, essentials are there, I don't rule out further increase in inflation in the coming 2 to 3 months. So it is not going to be an easy or smooth ride as we go along. But having said that, my sense is that FI inflows are more, I would say, structural at this point of time. And if the interest rates in US markets, they don't go up much, they can sustain at least in the near term. But in the medium term, I think in the next couple of months at least, the markets will start taking cognizance of the coming elections, whether these are state elections or the central elections next year. So as far as this is one piece of it, the second piece is on the retail side. You see, particularly during COVID, we had seen increased, you can say, participation from retail, a lot of it on the FNO side. And I think some of these investors, they have already now, you can say, stopped dabbling in the market. However, in the long term, I would say that the ratio is likely to change and may turn more in favor of, I would say, the delivery-based trades, in the sense that the proportion might change a little bit. However, I think it is also to do with a lot of discount brokers who are actually giving you very low brokerages. That has also prompted the FNO trading. So the long-term investing and FNO trading both have coexisted in the last 10-15 years, and I think that is going to continue.
All right, Amnish, thank you so much for taking out the time and speaking to us this morning. We're just going to leave it at that.
Thank you.
All right, with this, it's a wrap and goodbye from the entire team who puts this piece together. Thank you so much for watching, and please do post your feedback for us in the comment section below. Follow us on the link at the bottom of your screen, and for rest of the day, stay tuned into moneycontrol.com and Moneycontrol app.
How do world leaders view India?
I've long believed that the relationship between the United States and India is will be one of the defining relationships of the 21st century.
The bright spot of the global economy.
The growth rate for India, which is 6.8 in 2022. Let's not forget, this is one of the bright spots in the global economy right now, such a high growth rate.
The potential of India is enormous, and you have now a reformer, a radical reformer, who has the ability to transform it.
On the verge of a big transformation.
इस अमृत काल में हमारे संकल्पों की सिद्धि हमें आजादी के 100 वर्ष तक ले जाएगी.
A magnet for investment.
I'm actually incredibly excited about the future of India. I think India has more promise than any large country in the world.
The world is bullish on India. Moneycontrol is bullish on India. Join the campaign. Tweet to us with #MC Bullish on India.